Hello coaches, thanks for joining me for another Modern Soccer Coach Tactical Breakdown. Today we're going to look at training 1v1 exercises that can fit your pre-season program. Now 1v1 exercises can be really beneficial in the pre-season program. First of all, you can teach different areas of your philosophy, your game model, your principles, whatever it is. It can drive competition, it can increase fitness levels, and it's enjoyable for the players to compete against one another and have some fun with it. But in order for all of those to happen, I think it's really important that the exercise matches the match or has an element of realism towards what you're looking for as a coach. Now, for example, this is the most common 1v1 picture that you see in soccer over the years, but is it realistic to the game, or can it achieve the objectives of fitness, technical quality, enjoyment levels, competition? I would argue it doesn't, mostly because small spaces don't really challenge players physically. Technically, the defender has a huge advantage in this picture, where if they delay, they're not going to get beaten. Finally, and most importantly, very few 1v1 situations in the game happen with a player passing the ball to another player and that player facing them and going 1v1. Most 1v1 situations are position specific. For example, if you look at Manchester City, Jack Grealish will receive the ball with pressure on his left shoulder. Haaland will receive the ball with his back to goal. Stones will receive the ball and look with pressure facing forward and might receive it from an angle. So all those situations must take into account when you're planning a training session. Can you make it realistic towards an aspect of the game that can challenge players in all the areas and allow them to enjoy it as well? So here we go. Let's take a look at some examples. Before we start, coaches, if you enjoy these, please give it a like and a subscribe below. And if you want more ideas on football fitness, we've just had a new PDF out. On the link below, you can get it on the Modern Soccer Coach website. There's plenty of exercises, ideas, periodization charts. We've got it all, modernsoccercoach.com. Please check it out below. Okay, 1v1, let's go. So the first exercise is a transitional exercise from Arsenal. The attacking players have to drive forward, dribble through the gate, and then score in the mini goal. As soon as they score, the opponent now drives forward and does the same thing, and the attacker becomes the defender to try and recover and prevent them from scoring. And then the same thing happens on the other end. The other player goes as soon as the ball's played, and the attacker becomes the defender. There's a huge element of transition here. Again, pressure is now coming in the form of a recovering defender who's traveling at speed, and it's really competitive. You can play this as first to 10 wins. It's a great warm-up game. It's a great game to build into a high-tempo, high-intensity session. This is a 1v1 practice from Bayern Munich when Pep Guardiola was there. You do need a few servers for it as a coach. You've split the field up into three. You've got two teams. The wide areas, both teams are working to start with technical work. One player works on each side with a combination play and a shot on goal. And then the players then transition into a 1v1 against each other. What's interesting here is the detail that Guardiola has placed on the recover and run, the angle of the defender coming at the attacker, and then of course you've got the timing and the competitive element of it as well. Next group goes, so it can flow quite quickly. Really good exercise to work on different aspects of technical ability unopposed, and then bringing it into an opposed exercise. Really good. This is one of my all-time favourite 1v1 games. You play 6v6, you have a pitch, and then you have a 1v1 pitch alongside it. So the game continues as is, 6v6, and then the coach calls out a number that they've given the players. When the player's number is called, they go and play 1v1 against each other, but the game continues on the other side. So you've got the 1v1, and you've also got one team transitioning quicker than the other. They might get back quicker, so they might have an overload in the attack, or the player might be playing in a key position. They might have to adapt and be without a centre back or a centre forward, and that can change the dynamics of the game. You can keep the score going on both sides, combine them together. It's competitive, it's high intensity, and it's related to the game in terms of the overloads and underloads. And then the final game is played as a 3v2 to go, and then you've got two wide channels, which part of the second phase of this here. So 3v2 to go, and as soon as the attack finishes, the two players on each side of the three attacking players now become defenders and must stop the players in 1v1 in those wide spaces. Again, you've got an element of transition. It also is a really good game for those wide attackers to get into attacking and then defending and getting that mindset right of transition and responsibilities on both sides of the ball. And it's competitive because you can incentivize scoring both ways, and again, add them both together and make a competition. So there you go, coaches, just different ideas to move away from the traditional 1v1 through the gates. If you have a transition, if you have a recovering run, if you have players coming from different angles, it can just spark a little bit more game realism from a player's perspective. It can also spark that different competitive element in the exercise as well, where if something's more difficult or something's a bit more challenging, it can add a little bit of energy as well, and you can incentivize the scoring system through that there. Again, my personal favorite is the 6v6 with the 1v1 game alongside it, because as a coach you can manipulate that and even bring in a 2v2, or you can call different number from each team, and you can try to create the matchups that you like as well within the team and your squad. Really good way, again, to drive energy, to increase fitness levels, and to drive the enjoyment level of the exercise and the session to your players. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please, as always, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. The more views we get, the more content we can put out. So a big, big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you have subscribed, or if you haven't, please also give it a like below. And we will keep the videos coming. Thank you so much for the support. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.